Hello, and welcome back to another player draft analysis video. Today, I'll be going over Taylor Decker, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Taylor Decker, 6'7", 310 pounds. He was the Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2015.
Just give them a little bit of hope and they can make it happen.
Again, you don't really get stats for, offensive linemen. It's kind of tough.
First down at the 18.
So, I'm going to go and just kind of give you my little Personally, I think Taylor Decker is a solid prospect. Overall, good player. But again, most of these players from Ohio are pretty solid. I think they're all pretty solid talent. And I think just overall, all of them will have solid careers. I think Taylor Decker is one of the better of them all. I'd say he's probably second or third, maybe fourth. Probably third or fourth. But I guess I'll just get into my pros and cons because there's not much else to talk about with these guys. So, up first. His height, 6'7", slightly above average for an offensive tackle. I'd say average is maybe 6'5", so slightly above average, and that'll obviously help him, because guys won't be able to get under him as easily, get under his pad level sometimes. Again, there are also guys like J.J. Watt who don't really need that. But tough. He's got the toughness, he's got the nastiness, he's willing to whack a guy and keep hitting him. He's got a good motor on him. He's just willing to keep going. He's not going to kill out a block midway through because he got tired. He's going to finish his block almost every single play.
That's what they did this past play. Hey, it was a good idea. It just didn't work.
He's a good overall blocker. He's good in pass. He's good in run. He's not great. He's not amazing. But overall, I think he's a solid overall run blocker, solid overall pass blocker. I don't think he's great. I think that Laramie Tunsil is probably the best pass blocker in this draft. He's not on that level. And I think Conklin's probably the best run blocker when it comes to tackles in this draft, and I don't think he's on that level. But I think he's solid. I'd say he's maybe more along the lines of a less athletic Ronnie Stanley, who I think is a good middle ground between those two tackles, Conklin and Tunsil. I think he's a good medium between the two. So I'd say he's maybe a less athletic version of him. And Taylor Decker is still extremely athletic, don't get me wrong. He's still a very athletic, tackle. And last is something you really, I guess, can't, measure. It's all based on, a personal opinion, and wow, did that take a bump. Or a bounce. He's a good leader. He was there, he's a team captain for 2 years as a junior and senior, I'm pretty sure. So, again, I think he was a team captain. He's going to get the guys fired up, and he's going to do his thing.
Benjamin makes the catch.
Again, get them fired up in the locker room, keep their heads on straight during the game. The Michigan State game, he was obviously a big factor. Just keeping their heads on straight, keeping them playing smart, I guess is the way you could say, because they easily could have got flustered and frustrated on offense, because Michigan State played them very well. So, again, overall, solid player. His cons, he'll stand up straight in his block sometimes. He won't stay low and hit low. He'll stand up straight and keep his 6'7" upright. It will make it easier for guys to get under his pad level, which is a really bad thing, especially when you're as big as him. If he was maybe a bit of an undersized guy, it would be a bit of it'd be something that he can, just kind of pass off as something he could fix, but it's a kind of big issue when you're 6'7". So, I think he's going to have to learn how to bend his knees better and get into a lower base when blocking. Next, he has short arms for being 6'7". I think his arms are, I don't know exactly what his measurements are, but they're definitely below average for guys his height and size. But so I think that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage for him, as he's not going to be able to keep guys, you know, away from his pads and whatnot as easily with guys who have longer arms. So we'll see how that works. And lastly, I think this is probably his biggest issue as of right now. He relies too much on his strength over his footwork. Meaning he's going to try and overpower guys rather than, you know, just keep his feet moving and try and make them go around him and all those things. I think he's going to try and power through guys, kind of try and pancake them. Even on pass plays, he's going to try and knock the guys on their ass, which I don't think is going to work out well for him, especially for guys in the NFL who are much more powerful and athletic, who are going to know that he's going to try and outstrength them. So I think he has to rely a little bit more on his footwork. But overall, that's why I have Taylor Decker. Solid prospect. I think he's a good overall player. I currently have him ranked number 4 out of my top 5 offensive tackles. So, again, he's good, not great. I think he's a bit more of a developmental project than a lot of teams will expect from a guy, especially from an Ohio State guy like him. That was absolutely beautiful. I don't know how I topped that. I mean, that was absolutely beautiful. So, I currently have him ranked as a late first rounder to an early second rounder. I think that he's a good, blocker. I think he's a bit more of a developmental project than a lot of people will think. I think he has a couple things to learn. I don't think he'll be a day 1 starter at left tackle. I think overall, though, you could definitely start him day 1 at right.
The score's 7-0.
So, again, teams of interest I have.
First down at the 20. Here's the handoff to
Let's not screw this up first. Okay. Seattle. Seattle just needs to Seattle needs to revamp that whole offensive line, in my opinion. They lost a couple key guys, Russell Okung. I can't even remember where he's signed, to be honest. So, I think they need to kind of slowly replace the offensive line. I think they should start from the inside out because I think they have solid tackles for now. Again, they need to replace Russell Okung. But this is an overall solid draft class for tackles. So we'll see. Next side of the team is on the screen, the Carolina Panthers.
Good job by the offense picking up
their offensive tackles got victimized against the Denver Broncos defense. Those two, DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller just completely victimized the offensive tackle, so they need to replace them. And picking at the bottom, they're not going to get one of those top-flight guys like a Stanley, a Conklin, even though I think he's, again, more of a run blocker than pass blocker. And definitely not going to have Tunsil unless something crazy happens with Laramie Tunsil, where he breaks his leg this week. But overall, what was I saying? I thought I was at the end. Next side, the Tennessee Titans. If they don't draft Laramie Tunsil in the first round, which is definitely something that happens, I currently don't have him going to Tennessee first overall. So I think it's definitely, if he's available, that's the best pick possible for Tennessee. Because I think that Taylor Lewan can stay at left tackle, take his looks there, and keep Taylor Decker at right. I think those would be a solid 1-2 at the tackle position. Next I have San Diego. Again, if San Diego doesn't draft Laramie Tunsil like I have them, they can definitely take a guy at the top of the second or even the third round who can play tackle. Again, I mean, pretty much any player is an upgrade at this point. That offensive line was not very good this year.
Newton's now completed his last passes.
Next, I have Baltimore. again, Baltimore lost Keith
And here we
Oshmeal,
have second down.
so they need to start replacing some of those big name guys.
And with
I think
possession
that
of the
Decker,
football,
if
a
he's
good
there,
place
would
to
be
at
a
this point in the game.
no-brain pick.
It's Kelvin
They need to protect Joe Flacco. That's the way they succeed. But
Well, you get a couple
we'll
first
see.
downs on
Next
the
is
drive.
San
It just-
Francisco.
Of course, it makes you
This is a team
think
that
about what
needs
you're
to
doing. It loosens up the offensive
give
play
whoever is starting
and
at
there's
quarterback
nothing
some
like
time to
dictating
step
to
back
their
and throw.
defense.
Whether it be, I pressed the wrong button. Doesn't really matter. Whether it be Colin Kaepernick, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, whoever they draft, or if they even draft someone.
Well, I think they did. Now it's up to the defense.
Whether it be Colin Kaepernick, whether it be Blaine Gabbert, whoever it is, they need to protect him.
This game is in the bag.
So
The Panthers are ready to kick it away.
they can. I think they definitely go offensive line in one of the first 3 rounds. I just don't know when.
No return. The ball's coming
Next
out
is
to the 20.
Philadelphia. Again, Lane Johnson can definitely be a guy who will replace Jason Peters, but then they're going to have to get a guy to replace Lane Johnson. Jason Peters is getting up there in age, so they can stick Lane
First down
Johnson
at
up
the
there
20.
once either his contract's up or the guy decides to retire.
Has the catch.
So
Gains 14.
they're going to need to draft a tackle to prepare for when Jason Peters is going out the door. I still think Jason Peters has a solid 2 years in him, maybe before Philadelphia decides to cut him
Good
loose.
job by the offense.
So
Now on
we'll
first
see.
down, every snap crucial
Next is
the rest
Tampa
of the
Bay.
way.
Tampa Bay needs a solid offensive line. They have to protect their young franchise guy, James
From the
Winston.
gun.
I think they did a solid job of it last year. I think they have to do a better job of it for them to continue
Second down coming
to have
up.
solid
Time,
success, and they also have to fix their
obviously,
defense a
factor
little.
the rest of the way.
So I'll get to that when I'm doing my defensive
Always
play.
try to save the timeout or timeouts
And last
when
I
you
have the
can,
Giants.
and one way to do it is go to the hurry-up offense. Good job.
Whoa, whoa! Oh, you suck, dude. But
Well, it's tough when you're a quarterback.
last year, I had the New York Giants. If he's there, the Giants can take him. Again, they could start developing one of the younger guys, but I currently think that Ronnie Stanley will fall to them and be their pick. So we'll see. But if they don't pick Ronnie Stanley, I also think that this is a team that goes offensive line in one of the first 3 rounds. Joe Pugh, I think Jason Pugh or whatever his name is, the guy they drafted a couple years ago, is definitely he's a guard, no doubt. So I think they should start drafting. They have to draft another tackle. Eric Flowers, I think, will be a solid player at offensive tackle if they just give him some time to develop. I think he was thrown in there last year and just didn't really have a chance to play well because he never had a chance to really, learn how to play the position in the NFL real game. He was kind of thrown in there in the middle of the game.
Managing that clock, such a
So
big deal in
I
the
think
NFL.
that
That's
they
why
can
they're hurrying up.
take an offensive
Don't use
tackle,
that timeout.
that him and
Keep
Flowers
those
will eventually be the guys that will bookend Eli Manning's twilight years.
The Panthers offense looks unstoppable.
So,
Drives the last
overall,
they've had it. Here they go again.
my prediction
Yeah,
is
they've been
with
very
the
good
30th
taking
pick
advantage
in
of
the
situations
2016
and scoring
NFL Draft,
touchdowns, and we
the
know
Carolina
what you must
Panthers
do.
will
If you
select
don't get these
Taylor
touchdowns,
Decker, offensive tackle,
later in the game,
Ohio
it
State.
always comes back.
My reasoning, I think that the only other team ahead of them that can draft a tackle, the only two, as of right now, the day I'm recording this,
of their 2 previous
the 8th.
drives.
Yeah, it's been good stuff to
I'll probably go
watch,
up the
no doubt.
same
You
day,
know, the
hopefully, because
offensive
I missed
side, the
yesterday.
offensive coordinator is right
But,
in tune with the quarterback performance.
the Brickshot Ferguson has retired out of nowhere, it seems.
Because of the situation,
So,
and the quarterback
obviously,
has been hot throwing
the Jets can now take a shot at an offensive tackle. I think that they take offensive tackle later. I think that there's still a couple guys in this draft that can be solid starters eventually. So I think they should go for a guy that will develop into a very good offensive tackle rather than just going for the guy right now. So I think the Jets can definitely take him in Seattle. And I think Seattle will probably go the interior line. They'll go for the best overall lineman available. So I think they'll probably go interior, probably Cody Whitehair. I'm not going to do guards or centers. I'm not going to take the time to do it. So I think he'll fall to the Carolina Panthers. Again, I think Seattle won't take him. And I think the Jets will probably go defense. Todd Bowles, defensive-minded guy. He'll build around that defense before he does anything. So, coming up next is going to be Willie Beavers, my 4th-rated or 5th-rated offensive tackle. I'm going to actually record that right after this. So, till next time, this is J-Wax.
You are a quarterback. You like
Signing off.
points, but when you got to win in a low score